Welcome back to Money Majlis. Happy New Year. I wish you success, happiness, and good health in the new year 2026. We are kicking off 2026 by looking into the crystal ball of finance. What will banking, fintech, and payments look like over the next 12 months? Well, I reviewed the latest reports from global consultancies and industry giants. I've interviewed thought leaders, futurists, and corporate leaders from across the world. I've discussed and debated with colleagues from the industry. And from all of the above, the message is clear. 2026 is the year that AI stops automating and starts running our money. Today's episode, a New Year special for Money Majlis, is in two parts. In the first part, I will share with you my take on the 6 big trends for 2026 for money, banking, and payments. Of course, lots more will change in 2026, but in the interest of time, I will talk only about the top 6, according to me. In the second part, I will host an innovator who has helped democratize financial markets across the globe. Fournais, founder and CEO of Saxo Bank. A very, very interesting conversation that you will love. So all in all, a very exciting episode that befits the new year. But before we start, here's an acknowledgement of my wonderful sponsors.
Money Majlis is proudly supported by Now, the premier crypto-as-a-service provider, now building in partnership with the top financial institutions in the Middle East. Discover more at aquanow.com.
Money Majlis is brought to you by E&, a global technology group.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Intellect Design Arena, driving digital adoption in banking and insurance.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Live Digital Bank, powered by Emirates NBD. Trust and innovation combined.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Network International, the leading digital payments technology company in the Middle East and Africa.
So let me dive in now to my predictions for the top 6 trends in banking and finance for 2026. The first big trend is AI. Artificial intelligence is moving from experiments to the center of banking. Global research suggests generative AI could add well over $200 billion of value per year to banks, mainly through smarter sales, service, and risk decisions. For customers, this means money co-pilots in your pocket. Think of an AI that watches your cash flows, compares rates in real time, and quietly moves your savings to better deals, or warns you 3 weeks before you might miss a payment. Futurist Brett King, my friend, says that banking is rapidly becoming an intelligence that travels with you, not a place you go to. Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan puts it more bluntly. There'll be no job, no function, nothing that won't be affected by AI. So banks that don't adapt will be left behind. For bankers, 2026 is the year AI shifts from pilots to scaled platforms in credit, in compliance, in call centers, and even in product design. Banks will deploy AI agents to handle servicing, underwriting, compliance, and risk. These agents will make decisions, yes, not just assist. For customers, it means faster, smarter money management. For bankers, it means new operating models. Jamie Dimon recently talked about roughly $2 billion of annual AI benefit at JP Morgan and still called it the tip of the iceberg. The winners will be the banks that pair good data with clear guardrails and human oversight. So that was the first trend, AI. The second big trend in 2026 is embedded finance going mainstream. Customers increasingly get loans, insurance, or installment plans at the point of need. Inside an e-commerce app, a ride-hailing app, or a SME software platform without visiting the bank's own channels. In 2026, you won't just get a loan from your bank. You'll get instant financing when buying furniture online. Your car dealer might offer you insurance right in the showroom. This model, known as Banking as a Service or BaaS, turns traditional banks into quiet infrastructure providers. They're moving to the background. Non-financial brands are taking the customer spotlight. Consultants expect embedded finance revenues worldwide to more than quadruple this decade. And the Middle East is catching up fast as regulators open the door to banking as a service and open finance. Brett King likes to compare the future of banking to electricity, always on, running in the background. Fintech author Chris Skinner adds that the future is not just about banks, it's about a set of intermediaries sitting inside everyday digital journeys. For banks, that means what? It means building partnership muscles, powering other brands from behind the scenes while protecting their role in customer trust and compliance. So that was trend 2, embedded finance. The third trend is a real-time revolution in payments. The days of waiting 3 to 5 business days for a payment are ending. Real-time payments, RTP, and account-to-account payments, A2A, are expanding rapidly. Over 100 countries now have instant payment systems. Isn't that amazing? Over 100 countries? And they're slowly being linked together. MasterCard and Visa are building rails that let businesses and platforms push money across borders almost instantly, often at much lower cost than traditional correspondent banking. New payment methods and wallets will give consumers faster, more secure, and more convenient ways to pay across borders. For families sending remittances, for SMEs paying suppliers, or for freelancers getting paid from abroad, 2026 should bring faster, cheaper, and more transparent flows. In the GCC, both Saudi Arabia and the UAE are leading with national instant schemes, digital wallets, and experiments with cross-border CBDC corridors. So that was a third trend, instant payments. And here's the fourth trend. Digital assets will enter mainstream payments. That's right, digital assets. Stablecoins and tokenized assets are crashing the party. Cryptos are not fringe anymore. Stablecoins, which are digital cash pegged to the dollar, are going to be for everyday use. What has happened is that regulatory clarity in major markets has created confidence. We will see greater collaboration between crypto ecosystems and traditional payment networks. This makes it easier and safer to use digital assets for cross-border payments. Expect to see tokenized assets, digital ownership records, also entering the financial mainstream this year. Imagine buying a property in Dubai or Riyadh with a tokenized deed. Instant and fraud-proof is going to happen in 2026. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon softened up last year on crypto. He said, crypto is real. It'll be used by all of us to facilitate better transactions. Globally, digital assets are slashing cross-border fees. In the Middle East, tokenization is booming for real estate and commodities, and even Saudi sovereign funds are all in. It is, of course, secure, borderless money. So that was trend 4, which is digital assets. The fifth trend is tougher expectations on security, AI, and governance, as well as operational resilience. As AI agents start moving money, taking decisions, regulators are sharpening their focus on explainability, model risk, and consumer protection. In the GCC, supervisors are pushing hard on cybersecurity, fraud controls, and cloud resilience, even as they promote open banking and fintech sandboxes. Customers will see more biometric checks and step-up authentication, a bit more friction, but for a safer ecosystem. So that was trend 5 on cybersecurity and AI governance. And finally, here is the sixth trend according to me. Finance will become greener and more inclusive in 2026. From sustainability-linked loans to carbon tracking in consumer apps, ESG is moving from marketing to metrics, including in banks, the GCC, that fund energy transition and diversification. At the same time, digital wallets, macro savings tools, and SME platforms are pulling more people and small businesses into the formal system, especially across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Futurists argue that if AI and fintech do not shrink inequality, the industry will face what they call a trust crisis. Therefore, banks must retrain and redeploy people as AI reshapes jobs. So there you go. That was my take for the top 6 trends in banking and payments this year in 2026. To recap, it is 1. Agentic AI, 2. Embedded finance, 3. Real-time payments, 4. Digital assets, 5. Tougher regulations, and 6. Greener and more inclusive banking. For listeners, whether you are a banker, an entrepreneur, or just managing your own money, 2026 will be about 3 words: smarter, faster, and more invisible. The institutions that win will be those that use technology to reduce friction, not relationships. Now we come to the second part of today's New Year special episode of Money Majlis. I'm thrilled to host an innovator who has helped democratize financial markets across the globe, Kim Fournais, founder and CEO of Saxo Bank. From launching a fintech bank at age 26 to managing more than $100 billion in client assets, Kim's story is one of vision, perseverance, and transformation. Kim Fournais, welcome to Money Majlis. I wish you were together in your private island doing this podcast face to face. But unfortunately, today you're in your studio in Copenhagen and I'm in my studio in Dubai. How are you doing, Kim?
I'm doing very well. Only 9 degrees here and cloudy, slightly rain. So it's not exactly the same as Dubai, but maybe one day the island could be fantastic.
Excellent. Look forward to that, Kim. Kim, let me start straight away. You founded Saxo Bank in 1992 at the age of 26 with what I believe was just 70,000 euro in capital. Can you take us back to those early years in Denmark? What sparked your interest in finance and technology? And how did those early experiences shape your entrepreneurial spirit?
Well, first of all, I've always been someone who very much liked thinking about how to improve things. And it was very obvious to me that how the financial industry and the capital markets business operated. There was no transparency on price. It was super poor service levels. And the product diversification was not really possible. So after having worked in the industry for a little bit, I actually started studying as a civil engineer. So I've always been very technically interested. And I just felt that this could be done a lot better. So being 26, having a lot of energy and ambition, I was not so scared about failing, which I'm glad in hindsight was the case, because it as you can see that at least we have grown a little bit from the early days in 1992.
You began as Midas in 1992, initially a phone-based brokerage. What was the pivotal moment, Kim, that led you and the founding team to embrace the internet's potential, launching the world's first online trading platform in 1998?
Well, first of all, it's all about the clients all the time, which is also the whole idea about founding the business, which only had a phone and a fax machine in the beginning. So when we start hearing about what happened with the internet, and we could also see that E-Trade in US started trading cash stocks, we thought, well, why not put everything on the internet? So we started the development in the mid-90s. I employed some engineers, and I was literally sitting on paper, drawing to them what a trade ticket should look like, what the process flow should be, and so forth. And in April 1998, we launched the first trading platform for spot foreign exchange, which was obviously very, very, very early. But the whole notion that you can service a lot of people at the same time with much more transparency, much more efficiency and speed, and thereby also give better terms and conditions was a very obvious kind of common sense to me. But again, common sense is not that common. So I think we were still relatively early in that time. But definitely just thinking about the fact that the internet lends itself very well to moving data, because we don't really have any logistical problems if we build the right systems, was very obviously to me a big opportunity.
And at that point, Kim, you said, and I quote, when we started, we had nothing. We had no capital and no platform, just a telephone and a big smile, unquote. How has that entrepreneurial spirit shaped Saxo's culture after 30 years? And if you recall, what were the toughest barriers you had? Were they regulatory, technological, or cultural in getting this idea to life?
Well, I think first of all, when you are a small, agile company, it's easier to make decisions and move things forward. In the end, whatever we talk about in the world, I think it's always people and culture, which is the most important thing.
Yep.
And that, of course, starts from within. But then it's also about making other people. Back then, when we launched the first platform, people were afraid of the millennium bug. They were afraid of the internet. They were afraid of many things. So you have to kind of make people believe that a change is possible. And then you can say, even today, technology has been around for everyone to use. So again, it's really people and culture. I think back then it was also the mindset of people, because it had not been done before. So for people to begin to trust something completely new, from a startup company with no capital, with no client assets, with no brand, with no nothing, I mean, you have to build really strong relationships with your employees, with your clients, with your partners, and literally build trust, right? So I think doing that, combining that with actually showing some pretty nice products and services, I think was really what helped it propel forward.
Also, the market practice, right, Kim? The market practice then was trades to be done on the telephone. And you must have a challenge convincing the market, the industry, to adopt online trading.
Yeah, and I think, again, sometimes showing makes believing. So when you have a telephone, and back then people had to tell their bank or broker whether they were to buy or sell. And guess what? If they wanted to buy, the price did not become cheaper on the country.
Yeah.
So when you could actually show them something on the internet while you were talking on the telephone, and they can open an app and they can see two-way pricing, and they can put in an amount, and I can say, try to click this buy amount, and you get the price that what you see is what you get. I mean, convincing people that online trading made sense was evident, because you got an immediate confirmation. You could see the money got drawn from your account. You could see the net asset value real time, and you had an immediate confirmation, where before you had to kind of receive a letter in the mail 2-3 days later. If there was a mistake, it was a problem to everyone, and so forth, right? So I think because it was obviously so much better way of doing business, it was relatively quick once you had the notion that you could sit and explain it and show it to people. But that, of course, takes time. So it did not. We thought that this is so amazing, so people will queue up in the streets and just want to open accounts. And of course, it took longer. But in the end, I think we prevailed. Today, no one is kind of not doing stuff on the internet, or if they are not, then they're probably thinking about how to get a good partnership agreement with Saxo Bank, hopefully, right?
Correct. Now, today you differentiate yourself as a multi-asset, multi-currency, multilingual platform with over 70,000 financial instruments available. Your white label model started in 2001, today now has 120 banking partners. How did you strategically position Saxo to cater to both retail and institutional clients? And what role did white label partnerships play in that?
Well, it's funny you ask that, and as many good things in life sometimes comes a little bit coincidental. But when we launched this platform in the late, in April 1998, people started looking at that, and we were actually approached by some people from Portugal who said, could we use your platform to service our clients? And that actually ended up with having the first partner being launched in December 2001. And that is what we today would call banking as a service. So I think, again, being fintech before the term was coined, and being delivering banking as a service before people knew what that is, was a very interesting concept. But that meant that we could now starting servicing clients in Portugal, where we had zero footprint, where we had zero distribution, zero brand, and they could actually get a very, very comprehensive and tailor-made platform to service their clients. So it was a strong win-win, where we do the technology, we deliver the full digital value chain, and they can start promoting that to their clients directly in their local marketplace. So it was an obvious win-win, and since then, we have not looked back. So now, of course, we have a lot more financial institutions, and I'm happy to say that the first partner, Banco Cargosa, is still a partner of ours. So and on the outsourcing side, which is other financial institutions using this platform to cater for their end users, using our platforms or APIs and so forth, has grown steadily, and that kind of the business is close to 1/3 of our total revenue in Saxo as of today, and it's a very good growing machine behind it, because it's obvious that all financial institutions should have the best digital platforms, but for everyone to sit and develop it on their own makes zero sense. And normal financial institutions have a strong brand, they have clients, they serve in products, but they are not necessarily fintech. So this kind of partnership makes a ton of sense. So we are seeing more and more of that as we speak, and it's accelerating very well.
You've now surpassed 1.2 million clients, I believe, and about $140 billion in client assets. You reported a profit of $155 million last year in 2024. But Kim, there are a lot of younger, nimbler players in the market. How do you balance innovation with accessibility to ensure that Saxo remains competitive in a crowded fintech marketplace?
Yeah, I think we're actually getting closer to 1.5 million clients now, which is a good sign. And I think I have huge respect for any entrepreneurial business and founder. And as I was describing, back in 1992, I had one employee. So I know how it is to build stuff and that you can make it nimble. And I think the answer to your question, how can you stay alert and stay agile, is very much about people and culture. It's also very much about how you organize your business. And it's about how you deploy technology, how you create clarity, focus, accountability on what we need to do to the client or with the clients and partners, and how we do it. So obviously, a lot of this is, and it always needs to start with the clients and then work backwards. And then you need to make sure that you can also have much more end-to-end ownership of getting things done. So, for example, we don't have an IT department. We have technology embedded into everything what we do. So it's in the teams that are sitting with various client-specific parts of what we would call the client journey. So I think it's a combination. I mean, you want to grow and you want to get more efficient at the same time. So I think many businesses, when they grow, they become bureaucratic. They don't really empower people. They don't allow them to make their own decisions, and everything gets too centralized or too corporate and so forth. So I think it's about finding the balance where you stay agile, you stay innovative, and you create that culture. But at the same time, you also have the benefits of being a bigger company that has better capital, a longer reputation, has a more comprehensive regulation and so forth. And let's face it, right now, there's a lot of, unfortunately, this kind of get rich fast approach, which I think is unfortunate, because investing is a very, very important thing for every individual or organization or country. And when you get lured into being, short-term greedy and maybe a little bit long-term stupid, it can completely undermine the whole notion and the idea of investing. So I think education is very important, both within, but also with clients and with partners in broader schemes. So people should not believe that they invest and then they get super rich very easily, because that's just not how it works. And it may work like that for a few weeks or a month or maybe even a couple of years. But eventually it's going to blow up, and so I think that the gravity in terms of how do you diversify, how do you create proper capital allocation, and to your point, we are very multi-asset, and it is critically important. I mean, everyone can see that the Magnificent Seven would have been a good investment, or investing in crypto. But I mean, guess what? I think when we look at this in 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, the world has changed again, right? So I think being clever, trying to diversify, trying to educate, trying to do the right things for the right reasons, trying to apply common sense. Common sense is not that common, but really it's very, very important. And I think that the doing the right things for the right reasons is not always what brings the biggest profit in the shortest amount of time. But hopefully longer term, you're going to build a trustworthy, prudent business where people know they can rely on you, always trying to create win-win with your clients and partners. So I think there are many things into it, but people and culture is really the key thing.
So how would you sum up the unique DNA of Saxo Bank, Kim? What do you think makes you stand apart from everybody else?
Well, first of all, we are a tech company. We are obviously a tech company with a lot of licenses. I know people said that for a period, but I don't think that you find anyone, any bank, and as you know, we're a Danish CFI bank, so we are highly regulated, but we have the most comprehensive technology that caters for pretty much any global markets, as you say, multilingual, multi-currency, and that you can create a portfolio, whether you're an institutional client or private client, where you have super efficient market access, where you have great risk tools, where you have good ways to educate and to get better and to get inspired and get what we call timely, relevant, engaging, and actionable input and so forth. So I think how we leverage technology, how we leverage AI, our people and culture, I will always say that's the core of this. So I think that when you are talking about navigating the global markets, and I think everyone would agree now that we live in a pretty wild world, and there are many polarizations, there are many things happening within geopolitics, local politics, climate, technology, and so forth. And there are some really, really huge macro trends changing the world as we speak. AI, energy transition, what happens with the human genome and how we can become better versions of ourselves and live longer and so forth. And for someone to navigate that well, you need a Saxo Bank with that way of approaching it, because we deliver a blue ocean. We deliver an ecosystem for people to invest in the world and be invested in the world, but also to fine tune not only based on what looks smart today, but what constitutes a macro cycle development. So whatever the macro cycle is doing, Saxo is there to support and help and manage risk and allocate risk the way that it would suit your time horizon and risk appetite. So I think we're very unique in that sense. I honestly, and it's a very deliberate thing as well. So we are really a facilitator in global capital markets. And I don't see any other financial institutions out there that are having that approach to capital markets.
So on that point, Kim, you launched Saxo Wealthcare in 2022 to offer personalized digital wealth management. How do you see Saxo's role in shaping the future of personalized investing in the next decade, especially with what you call emerging technologies like AI and blockchain? How are you keeping ahead of these trends?
Well, first of all, I think that in the end, it is about the client needs. And also the client don't always know what they need. I mean, the people didn't know they needed a computer until someone invented it for them.
Yeah.
So I think it's also about looking a little bit ahead. And what I've said a few times, which I think is absolutely paramount, and people won the Nobel Prize for that, is if you want the best risk-weighted return, you need to diversify. And some people will say, I want to do this on my own. And for them, we have like do-it-yourself platforms. And some people will say, what should I do with my money? And they need more managed tools and so forth, right? So we don't want to be an asset manager ourselves because we don't think that it would be credible that we say we are the best facilitator and then we should also be the best asset manager in the world. There are lots of really good asset managers in the world. So what we're trying to do is by leveraging AI, by leveraging our technology and so forth, that we can tailor-make very bespoke solutions depending on different external managers based on what are your goals in life, what are your risk appetite, what are your beliefs in life, right? And I think by getting that understanding, so knowing your client, understanding what you want, but then by applying AI, applying technology and so forth, I think you can create something completely outstanding. And quite honestly, I think we're about to change the whole service model of the industry.
Yeah.
Because either you had very traditional kind of a relationship manager based services, or you had like a digital do-it-yourself stuff. I think that these things are converging because people likes people, but you can support with technology in a way that was never possible before. And AI is just not AI. You need to have proper data. You need to have proper governance. You need to have proper plumbing. You need to make sure that there's a lot of regulatory aspects of this. but also you want to make sure that it's better. But of course, technology and AI can crystallize what's important for you in this massive information flow that's out in the world, and thereby help you basically get a better service, a cheaper service, and something that cater for your needs in a much more profound way. So we are very focused on this. This is what we wake up to every single day, and that's the core essence of being the bank, whether people want to do it themselves or say, what should I do with my money?
Now, shifting gear, Kim, in a 2020 Bloomberg interview, you said, and I quote, if you invest in clean energy and so forth, actually the impact is going to be 27 times bigger, unquote. How is Saxo Bank advancing sustainable investing? And what's your response to critics who question the financial returns of ESG-focused portfolios?
Well, I think first of all, I think that energy is one of the big trends in the world today. And for the first time in the history of mankind, energy is now becoming a technology and not a commodity. So still, of course, we need oil and gas. There's no doubt about that. It's not going to change in a second. But, solar power, wind power, battery technology and so forth will be technologies that will reduce the cost of energy production, that will create more independence. I mean, because there's a lot of issues also with the current energy supply chains, because not everyone is having oil and gas, and that means that it creates complexities that are also giving root for sometimes geopolitical tensions and so forth. So I think, again, like in any prevailing in any growing technology race, there will be losers and there will also be winners. So I think that in the end, we live on this world and we want to continue living on this world. And I think if you can find the right companies, and by the way, we do themes where people can look if they're interested in the clean energy team, if they're interested in this, that, and the other, which are the companies, what are they doing, what's the difference between them. So we do a lot of education in that. But it's also clear right now that over time, I think we will see, and there's also fusion, there's thorium, nuclear power, there's the whole solar, the battery area, and so forth. So I think, again, this is not like something that happens from today until next week. This is a trend that I think is pretty fair to say, that over time, we need more clean energy. Is that the short-term solution to everything? Absolutely not. And it takes time to do it. But I'm convinced that if we spoke in 10 years' time, you're going to see a different world than we see today when it comes to energy. So it's again, like everything else, it's about finding the relevant companies to invest in. And really now, storage is the big thing, which is more on the battery side, right? So there are many things that needs to be considered here.
This is a good time, Kim, to thank you for joining the giving movement of Money Majlis. Thank you for donating your $1,000 Money Majlis gift card to Red Crescent, one of the 6 charities that we support on this podcast. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies is the world's largest humanitarian network, comprising 191 National Red Cross and Red Crescent societies. It brings together 16 million volunteers working to save lives, build community resilience, and promote dignity around the world. Kim, your donation will help their causes further. As a listener, you too can take part in my giving movement. Just visit moneymajlis.com to get your free $50 voucher and redeem it for a charity of your choice. All profits from this podcast go to charities, and for that, I'm thankful to my wonderful sponsors. I'll see you after this short commercial break.
The financial world is changing fast. Institutions need to meet the growing client demand for crypto financial services, but they need a battle-tested platform to build upon.
AquaNow is a leading crypto financial services platform, powering incumbent institutions to launch crypto brokerage, payments, and remittance services for their clients, securely and at scale.
Be part of the transformation. Visit aquanow.com today.
The end touches your life
in more ways than you can imagine.
You want more tech,
more speed,
more convenience, more entertainment, more business solutions. E&, gives you all that.
And so much more.
E&, go for more.
Parents teach their children to talk, to walk, to ride, to read. So why not teach them about managing their money? Introducing the all-new Live Light app, designed to teach 8 to 18-year-olds good money habits. A free and totally secure app designed for them that's always under your control. Top up their cards, set limits, assign tasks, and reward them with allowances. Download the LiveX app to open a Live Light account in minutes, and the first 50 dirham allowance is on us. Visit live.me today. Live Digital Bank by Emirates NBD. Trust and innovation combined. T's and C's apply.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Intellect Design Arena. Intellect drives digital adoption in banking and insurance. Leverage emac.ai, the most comprehensive, composable, and intelligent open finance platform for banking and insurance transformation. Intellect Design Arena.
E&, touches your life.
In more ways than you can imagine.
You want more tech,
More speed.
More convenience.
more entertainment.
More business solutions.
E&, gives you all that.
And so much more.
E&, go for more.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Network International, the Middle East, and Africa's digital payments champion. We make business happen and economies prosper by simplifying commerce and payments. Trusted by over 250 banks, fintechs and telcos, and 130,000 merchants in over 50 countries. Bringing you tomorrow's payment solutions today.
Welcome back. Today we are talking to Kim Fournais, a visionary who saw the potential of digital trading long before it became mainstream. You said if we can't create the Saxo experience, we are not going to succeed.
Yeah.
To you, what defines the Saxo experience, and how do you instill that culture across your thousands of employees in 15 countries?
Well, first of all, we have organized ourselves 100% around the Saxo experience. So we work in a setup that we call where we are 100% focused on what we need to do from the clients, and then we work backwards. And people are organized in that way. So we are measuring this like real time. So what is the experience? What is the client satisfaction? What are the referral rates? What are the drop-off rates when we work through the funnel and so forth? So we are all 100% focused on that. And for sure, if we cannot create happy clients, and again, creating happy clients is one component, but we also need to pay the bills and make revenues. So without happy clients and revenues, there's no business. That goes without saying. But it's also very, very, very important that we can operate in a compliant way and we can manage our risk within our risk appetite. And to do that, you need to think in terms of technology, processes, AI use, STP rates, and so forth. Right? So I think it's an ecosystem. We see this as an ecosystem, which purpose is to have happy clients and to obviously create more relevance for clients. As you can see, if you go back to 17, we were marking in Danish terms the first 100 billion Danish, which is 13 billion euros in client assets. Today we are 10 times that, so around 130 billion euros in client assets, or 140-ish north of that in USD. So I think the clients are voting with their feet and they're coming in our direction. And I think if we cannot have a good experience where people want to come and join Saxo, it's of course a complete disaster for the business. So everyone is focused on that. That's the core in our business philosophy, is we need to have happy and active clients cheaper whilst we reduce cost and complexity.
Kim, what's the biggest risk you took with Saxo Bank ever? And how do you weigh risk and reward as a leader?
Well, I think that first of all, taking risk is the business we're in, but it's also a risk reward, and it's also, you don't want to bet the farm. But of course, you can say that at that time, many people thought it was a major risk to start. First starting the business was a big risk.
Yeah.
Because if we couldn't make money in a very, very short amount of time, that would be the end of it. So that was the first big risk. I think that really moving onto the internet and spending a ton of money on technology with no revenue or no proven kind of track record or notion that we could say these guys did it, these guys. So very much a step into the unknown. To me, common sense and whether we really truly believe that this makes sense. It's completely rational to do it. makes it, to me, less of a risk. But I think at that point of time, many people thought we were completely crazy, right? So investing in the internet, to expanding the business, to go not only single product, but go to multi-asset, to keep investing in the business year after year after year, because we are spending much more money on R&D, innovation, technology than anyone else. And I'm a pretty long-term guy. I've been here for more than 33 years now.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not about the short-term gains. It's not about putting lipstick on the pig and then to sell it to someone, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So I think really the longer term, and that's always a risk. When you keep investing in what you believe in, is a risk. But that's also why you have to mitigate those risks by making sure that you're not the components of risk you take can be quantified, and if you're wrong, which you will be from time to time, that is not going to basically ruin the entire business.
And over the last 33 years, Kim, you've been a vocal champion for democratizing access to financial markets. You talk about it all the time. What does financial democracy look like to you, and how far do you think have we come?
Well, I think we're coming further and further, because now anyone who wants it can basically open up a multi-asset investment account with Saxo. And there are competitors out there. They're typically more single product and so forth. So I think we came a long way, but I think so in that sense, the availability is there. I think what's lacking, honestly, is a little bit more education, a little bit more that people understand now that they have powerful tools, that investing entails risk, and you're not going to get rich fast. And that if people want to go to casino, by all means, if they know they're going to the casino, it's fine with me. I believe in personal freedom and choice. But I think a lot of people are uninformed and get lured by a lot of people on the influencers and so forth that says, come and see my trading screen, and then if they were so good, they probably wouldn't have to advertise for it, right? So it's just that I think a lot of people are quite naive about this, and I really think that it's about making sure that to build trust in something, you need to make sure you think win-win with the clients. And right now, I just see that there's also many players that are too short-term, just trying to make money fast, whether that's people launching services or investing in them. But I think we are a lot further now. I think the transition is, we are at an inflection point now with generative AI. We are at an inflection point of that the world is becoming increasingly smaller in the sense that many things are happening. You in Dubai have a tremendous boom of business. There are lots of IPOs going on. There are many things going on. People are moving there. The economy is thriving. Stuff is happening in US. The now defense industry stocks have changed and so forth. So I think that people can see that debt levels, the macro environment, the geopolitical environment entails that you need to have a global strategy. You need to be able to diversify. I think that that's still an area where Saxo is very much alone, because we offer very, very broad services, both in asset classes, sectors, geographies, and so forth. But I think it's going in that direction. So I think, seen from a consumer point of view, it's much, much, much better now. And honestly, I'm quite proud that we were one of the pioneers in making this change happening. And we try to accelerate the good impact for our clients and partners every single day.
Excellent. Now, turning to our region here, Kim, what opportunities do you see for Saxo Bank in MENA, in Middle East, North Africa, and how are you tailoring your offerings to this market?
Well, first of all, we see a huge opportunity. There's no doubt, and we actually managed to sign a deal with Safra Saracen in March. We're still waiting for closing. We expect that hopefully soon after New Year, but it's difficult to say exactly when that happens. And I think that when you look at also Safra's focus on Middle East and MENA, and you see the partners that we're having, and the fact that we have been there, and we're seeing a good growing business, and the whole region is really flourishing. I think that that's going to be more and more important. So we're going to focus on delivering much more local products, but also having both the local and the global approach there. We're working with a lot of great partners in the region, and we're seeing more coming. So I think it's one of the most interesting areas, honestly, in the world right now. And I think it's also when you look at, I mean, we Europeans are also seeing, I think, still a lot of red tape in terms of bureaucracy and a lot of rules and regulations that are not really aligned within Europe, and there's a lot of friction where you have a lot less friction in your region. And I think that you can see how that translates into growth. I mean, this happened earlier in Singapore, for example, and look at where Singapore is right now, right? So I think it's an amazing opportunity. I hope that the world is watching, because I think there's a lot we can learn from the efficiency of how to run an area of the world where people come and produce and create solutions and trade with each other and have stability and peace and law of order and stuff like that, right? I think it's quite amazing, and we're very focused on this. And I hope also after the migration with Safra that we can do even more in that aspect as well, to cater for a new clientele that we haven't been able to cater that well for in the past.
So with J. Safra Salison owning about 70% now of the firm, will anything change for customers?
No. First of all, we will run our two brains, so to speak, in parallel. So Saxo will be what Saxo is, but I think now also with some very professional, strongly capitalized long-term owners. Safra has been a family-owned business since 1841, so more than 185 years now. And they have been extremely successful. It's a very, very successful family-owned business. And I think that when you look at the capital, the long-term thinking of the family and how this business has been run, it is really what we say fintech agility meeting banking stability. So obviously there are very many synergies between the two banks. And again, I have not sold any shares now, so it's around 28.5% shared ownership here. But for me to have partners that are this professional, this long-term, that are also clearly not looking to sell their businesses and pretty much never does. I think that this is very strong testament to the longevity of Saxo, the stability of Saxo, and also the fact that we can continue to evolve and develop, but without having to honestly facilitate different owners moving in and out with every 5th to 7th year, which has happened quite a bit of time. It takes a lot of juice out of the organization. So I'm really happy on a personal level and for every Saxonian that we now have a very, very strong long-term partner, and we can focus 100% on growing with clients and partners. So I think that clients and partners are only going to see benefits from this.
And looking ahead, Kim, what excites you most about the future of fintech and Saxo Bank's role and your role within it?
Well, I think first of all, I've been around for quite a few years, so I don't think that I see myself as a CEO for the next 33 years. Maybe one day, there could be another good role for me, but I'm here now and I'm alive and kicking, and I'm as passionate as ever. But I also think we have great teams. So eventually, we'll find a good way to transition that. But I will, for as long as I'm possible, want to be engaged with Saxo. I love Saxo. I've been founding it from nothing, and I think now it's getting really exciting, right? I think that we are beginning to mature, and we're beginning to see growth rates and the assets coming in and partnerships and so forth that I believe is gonna propel Saxo forward for many years to come. I think it's only gonna get more exciting. So I think for fintech and for Saxo, obviously AI, but AI is just, you cannot really leverage AI unless you have proper data, unless you have the proper technology, unless you have proper technology plumbing to do this. I think we are uniquely positioned. We work with AI for 15 years in Saxo, but obviously it's changing a lot now with generative AI. So we already deploying it in pretty much all components of the business. But we're also working on some stuff now that I think will be transforming the whole service model for clients, where you have this very personalized service, or it's just going to be better than it was ever possible to build it before, even having the best relationship manager in the world. So I think combining relationship managers with proper technology, I think is going to be a combination that's going to be really unique. And then with all the global access and diversification and multi-asset and so forth, I think we are in for some pretty interesting stuff. And I think it's also something where more traditional and incumbent players will have to get onto this. And I think starting from scratch, building it on your own, I just don't think it's possible for even the strong-minded, most capital strong, because it is a people and culture thing. And it is something that you need to kind of, just because you're good at tennis doesn't mean you're going to win the golf tournament, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's something that partnerships will be stronger. I think that hopefully this getting rich fast will be clamped down by regulators, because I think a lot of unfortunate people are investing their pensions in something and then they lose all their money, and that's really, really sad. So I think the trust in the business and the technology development, but how we can actually help people create a better future and channel all those investments into the right kind of initiatives, companies, etc., that are solving the problems of the future. Because let's face it, whether it's transport or whether it's energy or whatever, it is going to be private companies that's going to make those changes. And to facilitate and bridge that from people that wants to save and invest, that stays curious in the market. We are here to get curious people invested in the world, and we try to educate them, inspire them, and so forth. So I think there's a big move forward in people's interest to do this and their ability to do it. And I think it's only going to improve. So I think it's actually pretty promising. So if we can stay in a relatively calm world where we don't have too many conflicts and so forth, I think it's going to be really good times.
Very well said, Kim. My last serious question, Kim. You own a 155-hectare self-sustaining island in Denmark called the Vejro Island, and you call it honest capitalism. What does that phrase mean to you? And how does it reflect your personal ethos? And, along with that, how do you define true wealth?
Yeah. Well, I think true wealth is that you are happy in your heart with your loved ones and that you're a healthy person, right? I think that is that you have meaningful work and meaningful relations. I think, and that you can eat every day and so forth, right?
Yeah.
I think so. But I also want honest capitalism. I'm a Danish guy, and in Europe there's a lot of skepticism around capitalism, which is completely unfortunate. And again, I think capitalism is the key facilitator for win-win transactions. That is driving all good things in the world. I think it's much more obvious to you guys in Dubai that capitalism is part of the solution and not part of the problem. So what I'd like to do is that capitalists are focusing. Of course, we need to make money. That goes without saying. But how you make your money, how you spend your money, how you invest your money, I think is very, very, very important. And if you do that with and I mean, it's a free world. People can do whatever they want to do. But in my mind, I would like to feel good about what I'm doing and how I do it. And for example, I've been relatively fortunate to start Saxo. It was not written above my cradle that I should do that. And now having the financial means to buy 155 hectares, which is a microgrid. So we produce with wind turbines, with solar panels, battery storage, heating tanks, stuff like that. We have our own regenerative farming. We produce the most fantastic food. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of nature. And to me, if you can take 155 hectares and you can create a microcosmos of what the world could look like, completely self-sufficient and independent, but with biodiversity and happy smiles with animals and people, and you can come there, and I hope we will have a chance to meet there.
Of course.
But bring your family there or your company there, have offsites there, and see how beautiful life can be and how many great things we can do. That to me is honest capitalism, because I think when you have an opportunity to create something like that, I feel compelled to do it. So it's a crazy project, but it's a wonderful project, and it's a beautiful project that I would urge everyone to come and see. And you can definitely search on the website if you want to have a look. But it's an amazing project, and I think that to me this is what we should do when we can do it.
Excellent. That is incredible indeed. And incredible insights about everything you said so far, Kim. Your vision for Saxo Bank, your vision for the future of fintech, your vision for the environment and how life should be. Now, let's lighten things up a bit and some rapid fire questions to close our podcast today, just to get to know you as a person behind Kim Fournais. Kim, you're a keen pilot with passion for flying turboprop planes. What's the most incredible, memorable destination you've flown to?
Well, I'm only flown within Europe, and I flew. I fly at a few different planes, so I've been using it a lot for also for work when we go to meetings around Europe and so forth. So it's not like something that can unfortunately not go to many other places in Europe unless you have a lot of stops along the way. So when I'm coming to Dubai or Asia, whatever, I fly commercial flights. But I think actually the most amazing place to fly to is Varu. So when you land a turboprop on Varu, you're hearing the silence and you're just smelling the fresh air and your shoulders come down and you breathe differently. That's like flying into paradise, right? But I think there are so many beautiful places in the world where you can fly to or walk to or take your bicycle or whatever. And I think that I do think we should take care of our world and make sure it's pristine, it's well developed. And I think there's so many great cultures and people and food and everything. I think that I'm a very curious person, and I would like not to be bogged down to one place. I think there's so many beautiful places on the globe. But it is true, I love flying. I think it's an amazing feeling of freedom and independence. And it's quite efficient to get from one place to another. And it's, of course, a big privilege to be able to do that once in a while.
Amazing. Kim, what technology today would have blown your mind in 1992 when you started?
Well, I think that, of course, technology is changing all the time. And again, I think that when I started, you more or less didn't even have an email, right? You had to fax stuff around to send letters and so forth. So I think that the internet, of course, is a major thing. How you build systems in a completely different way now, leveraging microservices, using cloud and so forth, and how you can promote and communicate. I mean, you and I are seeing each other and we are far and away. That was not possible more or less before Corona, unless you had big, crazy installations and so forth. And of course, AI now is huge, right? So, but I think that technology is a tool for how we can create better solutions as humans. And that technology can be used for doing better investing, but it can also be used for doing better medicines or better energy solutions or better anything. So I think it is hyper interesting. And of course, AI now, it's again an evolution. If you had AI before you had the internet, if you had AI, I mean, that wouldn't really work. And I mean, you actually did have some components of AI, even going back to Second World War, where they were beginning to decipher different codes and so forth. But I think it is an ecosystem. And I think what many people sometimes forget is that we all live in an ecosystem. And that ecosystem has certain elements that starts evolving. And when they do, they open new opportunities. So I think it's really about staying curious, staying alert. And of course, AI is going to be amazing, but it's not working without data. It's not working without cloud. It's not working without microservices. What I'd love to see is how do we become energy independent on this world? Because that I'm pretty sure we're going to see. I mean, we talked about it for a long time, but I'm thinking in the next 5, 10, 15 years, I think that how we produce energy and how we consume energy on this earth will change a lot. I think how we grow our foods and how we eat to be more healthy. I think the whole health space and so forth is, you can call it technology. There's a lot of technology within the human genome and so forth. It's game changing, right? So I think energy, health, and AI, I think is really huge macro trends that we should follow closely and that I'm very excited about, and I want to be involved in all of them.
Very true. As a black belt in karate, what's one martial arts lesson you applied to running Saxo Bank?
Well, I think first of all, you need to be in mental balance. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And you also need to understand that things are always hard. and that you need to be able to take a beating without losing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think but I just think that also the versatility and the agility and the strategic thinking and the fact that you need to keep fit in an organization as well as with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and that you need to have and it's a body and mind thing, right? So I think it's very much a culture. What I really like about martial arts is that it's very respectful, that it's very much, you can always be better. You will
Correct.
never be good enough,
Mm.
and so forth. Right? So I think this curiosity of always improving and having some key virtues and values that drives you forward, and that you never give up, I think would probably be components of relevance.
Very well said. Saxo Bank's headquarters building is filled with modern art.
Yes.
What's one piece of art in your office that inspires you daily?
Well, we have a very, very beautiful staircase that is the center of the whole building.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk up these stairs, and on the third floor, there's or actually on the fourth floor, there's a boy on a springboard, on a jump board that stands out like all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see he's really worried, and it's kind of I think we all sometimes feel like that little boy on the board there, making a big decision: should I jump or not? Right? And I think to me that's really, because everything is about decisions, and some people procrastinate decisions. That's making probably the worst decision.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't always have all the information. You never have all the information, so you need to make decisions, and you need to also fail fast.
Mm.
So I think this thing that being worried about making the right decision is hopefully something we all are, because if we don't think, if we're not humble, if we don't know that we fail many times, and we don't stay curious and alert, but we still have to make decisions, right? So I think that kind of uncertainty, but still the need to actually do it, I think gives humbleness to all of us, and we should stick with that for as long as we live.
True. You are known for cycling and running. If you could race anyone in the finance world on a bike, who would it be and why?
I couldn't say that, and I'm actually not cycling so much right now. But I think for everyone, I think it's good to enjoy sports and to do it as much as possible. I think it's very, very, very important, and you can easily get into a life where you deprioritize that. And I think that's going to have long-term consequences for your mental health, your energy, and also your psychological health. So I like racing everyone when it's a win-win race we're doing, where we can have good fun. But of course, I think that staying competitive, staying alert, because we all want to fight for keeping our clients and our partners happy and active with us. So I think that in terms of thinking competition and racing, I think we are all trying to work to become better at servicing our clients. At least that should be the purpose, and I race anyone there.
Uh-huh. Finally, Kim, you said your family and fresh air make you happy. What's one family tradition that you cherish?
Of course, my kids goes without saying. I think that I have a wonderful family, and but that's a very personal thing. It's not necessarily for big podcasts, but I think that relations. I mean, human relations is the platform for us being here.
Yeah.
And when we have good relations and we're healthy, and we can then be fortunate enough to have meaningful work, I think that kind of encompasses for me. Then I think if we are in a relatively good circumstance, and we eat relatively regularly and so forth, and those components with good relations, healthy living, and doing meaningful work, I think then to me that ticks the boxes.
Kim Fournais, thank you so very much for joining us today on Money Majlis. Any last comments, Kim?
No, I'm thanks a lot for your questions and your curiosity. As you sense, we are very passionate people here in Saxo Bank, so we'd like to keep striving and hopefully do a lot more business in the MENA area as well. So thank you very much about that.
Kim, your journey from a young entrepreneur with a vision to leading a global fintech giant is truly inspiring. Your passion for innovation, commitment to democratizing finance, and focus on values like trust and fairness shine through in everything you do. We wish you and Saxo Bank continued success in shaping the future of investing.
Money Majlis is proudly supported by Aqua Now, the premier crypto-as-a-service provider, now building in partnership with the top financial institutions in the Middle East. Discover more at aquanow.com.
Money Majlis is brought to you by E&, a global technology group.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Intellect Design Arena, driving digital adoption in banking and insurance.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Live Digital Bank, powered by Emirates NBD. Trust and innovation combined.
Money Majlis is brought to you by Network International, the leading digital payments technology company in the Middle East and Africa.
To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Money Majlis on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on social media for updates on future episodes. Money Majlis is conceived and scripted by me, Shubho Sarkar. It is produced by Sabeen Achkar and distributed by Hani Muhammad, both from Podstar. My giving partner is Good World. Until next time, goodbye. Stay well, invest well, and do good.